This is the awkward part of the stream when you're setting it up and waiting to make sure all the things come up together the way they're supposed to. So that's what I'm doing right now, is making sure that all of the things are working. And I hear myself coming back. That's interesting. Let's mute that. Good evening, everybody, or morning or afternoon, wherever you happen to be at in the world. We're coming off of a fun day with Amazon today. Thanks, Katie Steele, for the audio video report. Glad to hear that. This is live stream number 2. Welcome to live stream number 2. And I think if I did this right, yep, I think I should be seeing your chats right here. Weird. Well, we'll keep playing with that. There's probably a dozen different ways to do that. Anyway, so this last update was 45642 Central Time, 442 PST. So their big outage today was the Kinesis data stream. I don't know if you all were impacted by that, but in my my work life, this caused an impact for today, and so yeah, that was a big issue, and they're still working on it. As far as I know, it has not been fully restored. This Kinesis data stream is kind of like a fire hose of data that we get from a lot of different things. I know that my Echo devices today would not control any of my home automation stuff because of this outage. They were working earlier, like maybe 10 minutes ago, so I guess some of that's coming back up. And they say in here that some of that's coming back up. Tonight's stream is not about that, of course, but I just thought I'd bring it up because it did affect a lot of things today. I have a Ring doorbell. The interesting thing about the Ring doorbell is that it actually kept alerting my phone. I was outside working, hanging up Christmas lights and stuff today, and I was on the porch, and my Ring kept alerting over and over again, and I couldn't silence it because the part of the app that talks to Ring, I guess, is on the Amazon region that this stuff had the problem with, and so I couldn't silence the alert, so I just had to keep listening to it. I finally just muted my phone, turned it off because I couldn't keep doing it. So I guess the good news there is that you will get your alerts, but you may not get any control over anything. All right, so what's going on in the world today? So I wanted to talk about a few things, I guess, mainly just answer questions. Man, I wish I could get this chat thing to work like it's supposed to. I can see the last word, just can't see anything else. And if I stretch it, nothing happens here. Oh, I'm sure it's in the settings for the actual, let's try 400. I played with this earlier and it worked fine, but of course now it's live stream time. Yeah, see? That's nice. I don't know if y'all, I'm assuming y'all are able to actually see that. Let me just say something here. It says say something, so I will say something. Yep, we're saying something. And what does it say over here? Okay, cool. Well, it's there for fun. Still need to probably play with the way it looks because it's a little bit, I can't see the font and stuff on there. So ask me questions, anything that you have. We're going to talk a little bit about the Nest integration just for a second. This will be about an hour-long stream tonight. You may get a glimpse of the kids screaming downstairs or in the house somewhere. They're getting wrapped up for the evening and they're being loud. So such is life. When you have a family, you've got to go with the punches here. So Nest Nest integration in 118.118. I have been having good success with that. There were a few things that people had issues with. What I'm seeing primarily, the biggest one now, is the people are not using the full subscription ID path. I don't know if that got changed or was supposed to be that way from the beginning. I had just the last part of it, the name of the subscription ID, and it didn't update. And so what I did was I talked to Alan Porter. He messaged me and he said I need to add that whole thing. The documentation shows it now. In fact, let's see if I can find that real quick. Nest integration. Using my search engine skills here. Feel free to interrupt me, ask me questions or whatever you want while we're going along here. Maybe it'll load. So down here at the bottom, it talks about the subscriber ID. Oh, that's not it, is it? Let me look here, make sure we're on the right. Camera climate sensor, yep. Looks like it's been changed a little bit since I last looked here. So client ID, client secret, project ID, and then it looks like maybe this has been added, this comment, because we're still seeing a lot of this. I didn't write this, I just have spent a lot of time with it. If you watch my last live stream, I talked about this a little bit as well. If you're having problems with it updating, make sure that you have the entire subscriber ID. It's not the topic ID. I've seen a lot of people putting in the topic ID on the OAuth page, which I can't show you without exposing my stuff or whatever. There's a subscriber ID and then there's a topic ID. And if you choose the topic ID, it's got a little bit different format and it won't work. So make sure you're using the subscriber ID. And then what I do is, just to make sure it's working, I just graph it on Grafana here as well. And you can see here, you will see, it's probably hard to see. Let me blow this up a little bit. In fact, let me just make this one big graph. And that should be viewable. So you'll notice here that first of all, the scale of this is 71-ish degrees to 74. So the graph is set to auto scale. And so you can see here that the updates are sometimes frequent. And in the case of this update was this was in the morning, 3:22 in the morning. The next update was at 10:34 in the morning. So 7-hour difference between updates. What I don't know is, well, first of all, I don't know if well, this is all Google now. I doubt it has anything to do with the Amazon issue today, but I don't know what the threshold for reporting is for the Nest thermostats. Hello, Live Art Rainbow. That is an interesting name. I saw you subscribe today. Thank you very much for that. Anyway, this thing right here, my thermostat has to send an update to Nest or Google. I guess they're one and the same, right? Before it reaches me. And so I don't know what the threshold is between updates, but obviously if we look at it here, we've got 71.5 degrees and the next update is 70. So it's 1 degree basically. So it changed 1 degree and then it sent an update. And from here, it's 72.5. This is 73.5. So that's another full degree since an update. But then you have this little section right here where it's not changing that much, but it's sending updates. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows why or if that's just random stuff. I suppose there's a lot of things that could be involved in that. Number one, your internal network. So my Nest things are obviously on Wi-Fi. So if there's some issue, the Wi-Fi I know is working fine, but maybe the connectivity back to Nest is limited or rate limited. I'm just speculating here, right? But I do see it working, so I'm not concerned about it too much. And again, like I showed on my last live stream, I showed a way I can verify that it actually is updating. Somebody asked me in one of my chat things, either on the comments or on Discord, if there's a way to force update, and that's what I'm doing here. Is when I want to do that, I can. I turn it on, and then it plots these values from the Nest API every whatever 2 minutes or whatever it is. So if I go to my Nest stuff here, this flow, you can see that it's turned off. You got the little circle with a cross thing in it, line in it, and none of this stuff's lit up. So I need to turn it back on. If I turn it back on, if I enable it down here, now every 2 minutes it's going to get all of the information from my devices, and then I actually look at the state of the HVAC system, so off, cool, heat or whatever, and then I have the temperature, and then that actually gets plotted over on that graph. So when I would initially set this up, it was making sure the integration was working. I went through and I let this run, and every time there was a change in temperature, this goes every 2 minutes. So on the graph, I could show it to you, I guess. On the graph itself, when you look at the Nest stuff now, it kind of jumps up and down and does all this stuff based on the plot line. So spin, spinny spin. If anybody is curious about what I'm doing stream-wise here for technology, I'm using a Lenovo Yoga laptop I do all my video editing on it. I do my recordings on it, unless I'm doing something with my camera or my phone. I do all my video processing on it. It's been a great little machine. I bought it kind of as a bring your own device work / home laptop. And so when you see the lag in me bringing something up here and doing that, it's because I'm streaming. I'm watching the stream on the studio thing, and I'm doing other stuff, and it still works fairly well. So anyway, here we have, what was I going to show you this? View this. So you have this graph that jumps over. Whenever I was testing it with the Node Red stuff, it would plot along here until there's a change. And every time I saw a change in temperature on the Node Red 2 minute cycle, this would change. So, and again, if you watched my live stream last time, I kind of showed that. I don't have enough data points to show that tonight, but I can turn that on to verify every once in a while to make sure that's working like it's supposed to. I don't like to leave it on because then I'm double hitting the API. And maybe somebody knows the answer for this or answer to this, but I don't know if we're being charged for. We paid $5 to use the API, but is there an API limit? I don't even know. Greetings from India. It is 7 in the morning, I think, in India right now. I've got some colleagues that I work with every day in India. Software do I use for video editing? I use I use, let me make sure I say it right. It's Power Director. There's more words to that. Cyberlink Power Director is what I use for video editing. I know there's a lot of people that use the Adobe stuff. Number one, it's super expensive from my understanding. And number two, it is, let me pull my dashboard. It is super expensive, and then I just got used to using the Cyberlink stuff, the Power Director, and the Power Director is going the way of a lot of software these days. Software as a subscription, SaaS, software as a service. And so what that means is I pay a yearly fee, and then I get all of the updates and things that go with it. So far, all of the extra packages and things that you get, all the the effects, the LUTs, all the things that go with that, all are free to download. There's more stuff in that software than I've had any time to do. It's fun to play with. In fact, my wife is a teacher, and I've talked about her before on the stream too. She does a lot of virtual teaching now, and so I've been able to use that software to help her in her classroom. So that's kind of nice. Get kind of a double what am I trying to say here? A double use out of it. Makes it worth it. All right, so 6:46 a.m. in India. Yep, so it's like 11 and a half hour difference or something like that. All right, so where was I going with all this? I don't remember what I was talking about. Video editing. Oh, and for my camera, if you ever look at my Patreon, so, and this may not be visible on here. So this camera here, it may be washed out. Let's see. This is an Olympus camera, and it's an Olympus Tough. And I stream with this sometimes, but if you watch my videos, and now I'm going to be giving myself away a little bit here, you'll notice a little bit sometimes difference between the audio and the video when I'm talking. It's because I use a little box that I got, a little capture box, and every time I make a video, I have to go in and I have to edit the audio and slide it like 4 frames to the right, just so it matches up. And if I do something on my screen here, speaking of which, let me turn this little mouse thing on. I found this mouse highlight job. It's kind of nice, like you can see where my mouse is. Anyway, so if I do, if you ever watch Dr. Z's, he has a squirrel. He pushes a button and it brings a squirrel up on the screen because he goes off on tangents. I'm kind of the same way. So I'm talking about something and just jump off somewhere else. Anyway, so I have to use video editing software to do that, and it's very tedious. The video that when it came out today was that way. There's another video that's going to come out next Friday. That's using today's video was is controlling using the Google Assistant or the Google Nest Mini, controlling your devices, like you do with the Echo and other things. And so the next video will be having it talk back to us. So on my Echo devices, when the garage opens or the refrigerator doors open or a whole bunch of different things happen, I have voice alerts that occur on my Echoes. And I was playing around with the Google Nest Mini, which I got on sale at Lowe's. For those not familiar with Lowe's, it's a U.S. big box home improvement store. They had a little Nest Mini, and it came with this switch. I can't really see myself. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I'm just, yeah. So it came with this little smart switch, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I have all kinds of little power switches and things. I control lamps and stuff with that around the house. These right here, where is it at? This right here and this right here are controlled by little lamps or little plugs that measure power and stuff. And then the same one here, all these 3 of these lamps are it. So conceivably, I could take this little thing and replace one of those and make better use out of those other things. But I've not tried to use a Wi-Fi type plug. So this will be fun to play with just when I get around to it. So just curious, do you have any idea if LoRa can be used? I do not. My favorite friend is this right here. There are so many things with Home Assistant that I haven't even touched or even been exposed to that it's quite possible that the Things Network, that it may or may not have something. Okay, so yeah, I saw that little heading down there, the MQTT. So MQTT is kind of the workhorse of a lot of these things. A lot of devices can talk to Home Assistant on MQTT. So the Things Network. So it's an integration. So tell me if I'm mistaken. So LoRa and LoRaWAN, are they the same thing? Because if they are, It's possible. So you would log in, I guess. Yeah. So you're going to log into their network and do stuff with it. So I've spent about 30 seconds looking at it now. So my answer would be, it looks like it can. You may have to do a little more research on it, but it looks like LoRa or LoRaWAN will work. So that'd be kind of cool to play with. So where was I going with this? Oh, so I was talking about those switches. By the way, if you're curious about anything related to what's on here, just let me know. I know that I start a lot of my videos with this dashboard just because I think it's kind of cool looking. I actually started playing with the grid cards in version 118. So the dashboard that I'm moving from is completely built in YAML. I did everything with horizontal and vertical, are they card types? I don't know. Horizontal and vertical cards or stacks or whatever. And then just built it through YAML. What I don't know how to do is duplicate it here. I started to do this. So this row right here is the same as the first row in my other deal, but other deal, is that helpful? In my other dashboard. So I'm looking over watching the comments as well as talking, and so I'm confusing myself by doing that. Anyway, I tried to build this, and I tried to build it directly within the UI, because I've never built a Home Assistant dashboard in the UI itself. And I started to do it, and it wasn't as easy for me to do as it was just building it out in YAML. So it seems like I have a lot more control when I'm doing this kind of build out in YAML than I do the other way. And I can show you a little bit of the code for this. I use the Visual Studio Code application on my computer with Samba. And so let's see what I said about my Lenovo laptop here. This setup I'm also using, by the way, is my home office, my forced work from home. Although I tell you, I really am enjoying the work from home aspect of things. It's just in a room where I don't have a PC. My super powerful PC that I sometimes will fly my flight sim on is in another room in the study, our home office area where other people are using it. So I get the laptop here and the powerful computer that has the video processing cards and everything else in it is in another room. So if we continue this work from home thing, I may end up buying a regular computer to do this with. So again, squirrel, I need a little button to push whenever this happens so I can do what Dr. Z's does. If you've never checked out Dr. Z's channel, he's pretty awesome. He's done a lot of this Home Assistant stuff as well. He's building it was like igloo looking houses. I forgot what it's called, but it's like a round house. It's built into the dirt. So they're building that, and he's got some videos and stuff. He's talking about that. All right, dashboard. That's what I'm looking for. Dashboard. Let me find that. You can use Visual Studio Code directly in Home Assistant as well. Anyway, so if we go up to here, you can just see that I'm using vertical stacks, horizontal stacks, and I'm building all this stuff in to my dashboard. And if you look on the right here, you can see just lines and lines of code. The thing to consider about building something like this is, number one, unless you just walk into a house with a whole bunch of things already built in, then you're going to add things over time, and then you're going to build this dashboard over time. So this culminates probably 3 or 4 years of just putting stuff together. Now I had spurts of things, like most of my light switches that are in the wall, those happen quickly. And then I added, the Roku stuff I found out later. The control of the HVAC and alarm system was later on. A lot of this stuff is I've added over time. So someone who's just starting out in home automation, smart home assistant stuff, don't get intimidated that you see some of these dashboards where people have just tons of things. Somebody was commenting on some thread I was reading where they said they had 3,000 devices on a 3-story house or something like that. It was a huge amount of stuff. I can't even imagine. I have 324 entities, I think, and about half of them are probably duplicated because I moved from the Z-Wave integration to OpenZ-Wave. So, I don't know how people do 3,000 entities. That's a lot. You got to have a really big house. Now, if I lived in a mansion, it even makes more sense to have it if you have rooms that are on the other wing. You don't want to walk down to the other wing and turn something on or off. You just use your phone or app or whatever. My house, I could walk around and flip everything, but what fun is that, right? All right, so what do I use to collect my house power? And you're probably seeing this right here. Let me find it. It's been I'm gonna search for it over here in the secret screen so I don't show you all my Amazon history, and then I'll tell you what it is. That thing has been sitting out and baking in the sun. I have it hooked to my or it's clamps, so I have it clamped to my 220 or both the 120 feeds coming from the power lines. Don't tell the power company I did that. Now, I have to say that the things that I do don't always apply to where you live or whatever. Your code, your laws, all that stuff, right? So, we each do our own thing based on where we live at. I was able to open the panel and clamp those things onto that. So let me find where that is. But like I said, it's been baking out there for just forever and ever. And it's still working. I'm surprised that it does. You can see it's pretty accurate too. So there's nothing, well, I don't know what's running right now. Probably something like a dishwasher or whatever is running. And so the power usage is a little bit higher than normal. All right, so power, what would I call this? I might search it. I bought it probably 3 or 4 years ago and I can't remember what it was called. But I'm going to search my orders for power. I got it off of Amazon. I get a lot of this stuff off of Amazon. And we're chugging along. So I've got 3 pages of power. I see back in 2018, I bought Power Director 16 Ultimate. Now I'm doing the Power Director Online, so I don't need that anymore. I found out from, and we learn a lot of things from people around that do this kind of thing. And I found this from this software that I use for video editing. I found it from a pilot that I watched their videos. That's what they're using for doing their video editing. Word of mouth advertising is the best kind. You can't see it, but I'm clicking a bunch of things on the secret screen, and it is still loading the third screen because it is slow. What do I think about using Home Assistant for managing a greenhouse? Sure. I don't know what all is involved in that, but I do know that there are probably things you can do with it. You can you've got sensors that are stock or that are sensors. Here it is. You've got sensors that you can wire. You've got all kinds of stuff. So things like relays, if you're turning water on or off to mist your plants or in the greenhouse, measure temperature, open, vents if you have those. All the stuff that you can do with motorized things, as long as you have the power set up correctly where you're not trying to draw power through one of those sensors or one of those controllers. Basically, you flip a relay or whatever. As long as you're doing that, then the sky's the limit. I see people doing all kinds of things with this. All right, let me drag it over. Here we got it. This little box, I can say IP43 rated to withstand most weather conditions outdoor. We had a hailstorm last year. I got a new roof neighbors got new fences. We got new fencing. This thing was sitting out there in the hailstorm, and it's just sitting on it's sitting on top of the power box outside, the big box that comes from the power lines. It's just sitting on top of it. These now, I'm not sure this is actually these clamps. The picture's a little different. The clamps look a little different, but it looks like it's the same thing. I think I have a 2B. This is a 2E. Anyway, it's the same kind of thing. These clamp onto your service line, and the reason I've got these clamped on the service line coming from the power pole or the power is because it actually has it measures my air conditioner. If I didn't have it clamped onto that power pole from the power pole, and I just did it there's a box in the garage that does all the 110 volt stuff in the house, I could measure 110 volt stuff, but then I wouldn't have any idea what my air conditioner was drawing. And so this measures the actual feed that feeds everything to the house. So my dryer, things like that use the 220 circuits, this will measure those as well. So that is what I am using for that. So Live Art's talking about automation. Yeah, so this is an interesting topic. I don't have a greenhouse, but let me just see. Greenhouse with Home Assistant. You can tell how I learn everything. Let's just see what they say. Someone's probably written an article or done a blog post or done a video on how they do it. Automation for greenhouse. Now, that's 2017. Well, look, plant monitor. So, just out of curiosity, it's telling me that I'm having video streaming issues. Are you seeing video streaming issues on my end or on your end? I hope not. Probably because I'm trying to load a bunch of stuff and it's not happy with me for that. So let's stop messing around with all this. Shut that down for now. All right, so this plant monitor lets you merge moisture, conductivity, light, intensity, temperature, and battery level for a plant. Now, is this plant as in greenhouse plant or plant as in like manufacturing plant? Let me see. The sources of the data are Me Flora sensor. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it's using moisture and all that stuff. Yeah, I apologize for the video. Let me see what I can do, if I can do anything about it while I'm streaming here. It might be because I'm doing the video stuff or the window stuff. Let me make sure I don't have a bunch of stuff open that I shouldn't. Let's drop that down. Yeah, it says my stream status is poor. Serious issues that need attention. So I apologize for that. Let me just make sure I don't have a bunch of stuff open that I don't need to run. So Katie Steele, I see it supports Z-Wave. Is that how you get the data into HA? I take it there's no actual integration. So are we talking about the house power? Yeah. So mine comes straight off of if it's terrible, the video gets to be too terrible to do this, we'll regroup and do this again. But let me know if it's terrible. That's disappointing to see. I think it was pretty good last time. Let me just see if I can do anything on this end, if it lets me do anything while I'm streaming. No, it doesn't let me do anything. Stream settings, maybe? Yeah, so I'm using probably the best case for the streaming right now. So anyway, let me look at power. Hmm. Interesting. All right, so I think it's doing something with this. I'll ignore that for now. So what we have, I'm looking for the actual sensor. That's washing machine light, power meter. So this is a Z-Wave device. And I think, Katie, you were talking about that being a Z-Wave device that is it how you get to the NHA? So I didn't see on that version E, but I'm getting everything from Z-Wave on the power meter. So what I'm going to do is let me open up Visual Studio Code and let me go back to the dashboard and find that, what do we call that thing? Bounce around, bounce around. Let me see what I call it. I think I call it HSE power. Yeah, HSE power. So let me find HSE power and see. So this is a home energy meter. So this is all Z-Wave stuff. So everything I have here is Z-Wave. It can be inspired from the video regarding a radio frequency. Not sure what that means, live art. Oh, we're back. I'm trying to look at the, there we go. Cool. All right, so yeah, I use that energy meter for all of my stuff. And of course, I probably graph it in Grafana. In fact, I think I do. And I think the air conditioner just came on. By the way, it says 59 here. Yeah, turn the air conditioner on. This is the Nest integration. It just came on a second ago, and it's already updated here for those that are using Nest. My house is sealed really well, so even though it's 59 degrees outside, it gets warm in the house. So the air conditioner is still on in Texas. All right, so what I was doing was I was looking for, if I don't kill my video this time, let's look at my environment, no, power. So when I moved to Open Z-Wave, I probably did not update this to the new device, so there's no data. I would have to, let's see what we have. Yeah, maybe this? Nope. Well, anyway, I was graphing it at one point somewhere, and since I switched to Open Z-Wave, I didn't rename that. Is anybody else using Open Z-Wave? I have had great success with that. Let me go down to integrations. I made a video on that just as the transition over to it. I have 28 devices on there. Battery levels, things like that. I haven't had any issues with it. Somebody sent me a message the other day asking me to make a video on it because there hasn't been really a good video on tweaking things. So if I click on this, so all my automations are done in Node-RED, but you could add them here. I'm not sure what we can tweak on this stuff. So this is, yeah, I'm using a DSC 6106 Smart Energy Switch. It's probably hard to see on the stream, but this is what I was talking about earlier. I'm using that switch plugged into the wall, and then that's plugged into my lamp's plugged into it, where I could replace it with this little smart switch right here, which is Wi-Fi based. So maybe that's something I'll try. Anyway, on the oh, I see what you're saying, Live Art. So that Laura uses, yeah, I use the Raspberry Pi with a little RTL SDR radio, USB radio thing, and I pick up my weather station. So probably Laura, unless it's encrypted, can do that. You can, in fact, let's just look at. So these live streams are fun because I like just randomly jumping around and looking at different things. So it's a lot. I know it's a lot of squirrel kind of stuff, but yeah, I definitely do enjoy just talking about random things. I put stuff on the agenda or on the title just because, but it doesn't mean we have to stick with that. So if we look down here at this RTL 433, I have an ambient weather station, and the API was going down from time to time, and now I just pull the data directly from my ambient weather station directly into a Raspberry Pi in the Home Assistant using MQTT, which is really awesome because now I don't have any issues with APIs or anything else. The data comes directly to me from the transmitter of the weather station, and I store it directly on my Home Assistant instance, and then of course I graph it with Grafana. And so LiveArt's talking about, that's a great name, LiveArt Rainbow, talking about using that kind of setup, I think, to listen to LoRa or LoRaWAN. And these are all the different protocols that particular RTL 433 software can decode. I don't know LoRa, it doesn't say what's the other name for that? LW, LP something WAN, LP WAN? Yeah, I don't see it. So it would have to be something in here that it understood, one of these protocols. And there's a whole bunch of them. I don't know which one would be that. But there's probably a way to do it, and that would be fun to play with. What do you do with what are you using it for? The LoRa stuff. I don't have anything around here that does it. I have a power meter on the wall outside. That was the other thing. I'm measuring the power with the Z-Wave stick. But if you were to monitor my MQTT feed, you would see that I'm getting the power from the power meter on the wall outside, because we all have these smart power meters. I'm getting that from the wall outside. I'm seeing it on my screen. I just am not sure specifically how to decode that. And I don't know if there's a way to see that now. We can try configuration integrations, and we'll call it, where is it at? We'll click on configure, and then I can listen to the topic. So RTL_433/pound. Yeah, this thing, right? Well, that's going by pretty fast. Let me stop it. This is my weather station here. The RTL, or the fine offset WH65B. This thing transmits every 16 seconds. This is my weather station. This is somebody's security system. I don't know where it is or what it is. It's got to be fairly close. But I looked it up, and it's one of those kind of systems that can be rebranded for something else. There's also solar panels on the house next door to me. And there's a whole nother power system and meter and stuff over there. This right here, this ERT SCM, this is a power meter, and it has things like, where is it at? Consumption data. There's a whole bunch of papers out there and stuff to read about what these consumption data values are, and I'm trying to remember what I read on it. But maybe this is the way to measure my power usage over time. And then this is, again, this net IDM, I think is the same power meter, or a power meter. And so you have the last consumption count, whatever, -1 billion or whatever. And then we have all these consumption intervals. So however often this transmits, every interval in that transmission was the power usage during that time. So I would have to decode all this and figure out what that meant. But I could potentially take the signal directly from my power meter and figure out how to make this, I'd have to templatize it or something and make it read the power for me. That would be kind of fun. It's all about time, right? And getting that done. So let's see here. Lori's how far exactly? Temperature and humidity, I can do anything. Who can do anything? Me? Or Laura? I guess you're talking about using Laura to do a bunch of measurements and stuff, measurement things as well, yeah. somebody is new to Home Assistant today on Discord. They said something to me about the fact that they're getting super excited about all of the stuff they can do with it. I don't even know. Like I said earlier, I haven't even scratched the surface. I don't have enough time in the day to play with everything that is out there, or the places to use it. I do a lot of I used to do electronic stuff too and played around with that a little bit. That's what I need to get more into is the actual discrete, relays and stuff that you actually can control with things like Sonoff and all of that. I am using a Sonoff device to measure the temperature in my refrigerator because I'm having a problem with the refrigerator. So let me go back over here. My refrigerator temperature is currently 48 degrees Fahrenheit, and it fluctuates between that and 50 something, but there's a control board that defrosts it. And when that doesn't work right, then the temperature starts going up. I have a Node Red automation that checks the temperature. And if it's higher than 50 degrees for 90 minutes or more, then it sends me an alarm. It announces it on the Echo devices. It sends me a pushover message to my phone. And then I go on there and I force defrost the thing. At some point, I guess it's time for a new fridge, right? Or I just keep doing this as an excuse to use the sensors. EcoWit G1000 for getting your data locally. If you ever have issues, I think I saw that. I looked at that. EcoWit. Yes, I remember seeing that. A lot of that. I had a problem with my weather station when I was doing all this work. The little panel that comes with it had to sit exactly in the right spot in the closet where I have it in order for it to pick up the signal. And then I had this SDR, and this SDR just couldn't pick up the signal. And so I moved it to the attic, and it's looking down on the weather station, and I was still having dropouts all the time. I know it's show and tell. I should just keep Grafana up because I keep going back to it. The other day, I got tired of messing with it, and I read a lot about poor signal and all kinds of issues with the weather, this particular model of the weather station. And I think what happened on mine is that there's a little coil, a little small coil inside that is the antenna, and it's soldered to a single point on the board. And, I didn't know what was going on with it. I just wanted to increase the signal a little bit. So I took a 3-inch antenna, which is a quarter wave length for that particular frequency. And I soldered it onto the board. But before I did that, I messed with that little coil, and I think it was never completely soldered in. So I think because of that, that's why it didn't work. And if I just resoldered that coil, it was a cold solder joint or a loose solder joint or whatever, it probably would have worked fine. But I stuck that little 3-inch piece of wire on there so I would have an antenna poking out of the bottom of the thing. And then I epoxied the hole. So if I look at, let's just say the last 30 days, maybe, I don't know if this will show up very well. A couple things I look at here are the RSSI value. When you use RTL 433, you can tell it to send you the signal strength, or the RSI, received strength signal indicator value. And that's what it's hearing from the weather station. Well, this is all of the time that I had just that little coil inside there. When I got tired of messing with it and went out there and took it down and soldered that piece of wire on there, this is the new signal indicator. And of course, this is 0, and this is -12 or -10. The graph is, I think I have it fixed at 12 and 10, but the value coming from the weather station, or at least being received by RTL, it can't go any lower in signal than -12. So these times down here where it was -12, it might have been -50 for all I know, because it didn't register anything less than -12. But when I put that antenna on there, kaboom. So, and you can see the signal to noise ratio went from 20-ish, mid-20s, all the way up to 25 or 27. So it's a lot better by adding that antenna. So yeah, if I ever got fed up with that, I would probably look at this this EcoWit thing because I saw a lot about it. It's self-contained, right? It's just a self-contained weather. Oh, it decodes it, right? So can you take that GW1000 and I guess it decodes a bunch of different things, right? And then does it integrate to Home Assistant or does it send out MQTT? What does it do? Because I'm all about playing with new stuff if it makes sense. Yeah, that signal to noise ratio is pretty good. I can see that the antenna can see the weather station. I just couldn't believe it wasn't doing any good. Yeah, and of course I plot everything because I'm a data nerd. If I can't look at it back on a graph, it's not worth it. I have history turned off actually in my Home Assistant instance, and I'll tell you why. This could be a placebo effect or whatever, but the Home Assistant, if you look at my terrible video about how my ugly network and all the junk that I'm using, you'll see the little device, it's a mini computer that's sitting behind the desk in the study, the home office room, and it just the drive chatters all the time. And so I turned off the history recording in Home Assistant proper. So if you were to go to any entity in Home Assistant, I guess over here, yep. If I click on any of these things, let's see, this temperature deal, there's no history. And I turned it off because it just chattered all the time. I think it's better. In my mind, I think it's better. It's not as noisy. Of course, I'm not down there anymore, so it doesn't matter. So I don't keep history here, and there's sometimes I'd like to do a quick click on something and see what it was doing, but I just go to Grafana. So anyway, that's why it's off. But it keeps that drive chattering down. It keeps them writing to the drive all the time, I believe. I could be wrong. Look at that. So the air conditioner's on now. Probably the dishwasher. Probably the hair dryer. Probably whatever else is going on down there. Integrates and sends directly to HA. Oh, sweet. HAC. Oh, that's even better. Great looking web interface. So, what are you running with your EcoWit? What are you receiving? Was that the one of those ambients or using something else? Let me get a drink here. I know I talk a lot. I should be one of those news radio people, or one of those. I'm gonna have a news show, AM radio. Next thing I need to figure out how to do is utilize Discord so that I can have like guests or whatever, or their audio. I know you can do it. It supposedly goes into some sort of like streaming mode, although I think I turned that off by accident, so it didn't do it this time, but it goes into streaming mode. I guess it uses the audio from my mic here, and then whoever jumps into a voice channel can actually, yeah, I think that's how it works. We ought to play with that sometime. Do like a ask me questions on the voice channel kind of thing, and everyone can be on Discord having a big powwow. 7:56. Got a few more minutes to talk about whatever we want to talk about. You have the ambient weather just like mine. Yep. I mean, that unit's been out there. I had a IP 400 or whatever it was before that, and that thing just, until the hail blew it to pieces, it worked great. I had no issues with it at all. And this one had that signal issue with the display. I don't know why it's so bad compared to some of the other ones. I have in the video, you may have seen it, I have that little WH25 or whatever it's called. It's a little pressure sensor. And that little pressure sensor is full strength most of the time, no matter where I put the antenna. But I couldn't get my weather station to show up when I was, like 20 yards from the thing. So anyway, the new antenna has been fantastic. I'm super excited about the stability. I like stable connections. I like stable network connections. So I'm running Unify equipment in the house. I'm using, what else am I using? Yeah, just enterprise grade stuff. I've got Unify switches. I've got Unify APs. I've got these little, I don't have one to show you here, but I have these little mini switches from Unify. So I have a full Unify network. I like the stability of that. I wire stuff whenever I can. And then, what else? Things like RF. I want them to be solid. I monitor local, like, public safety channels. I have a Raspberry Pi doing P25 decoding. I have a old computer doing EDAX 96 decoding for using Unitrunker. So I do a lot of that stuff, and I love having just tweaking until it's got a perfectly reliable setup and all that. So I know it makes me crazy. Reliability. Who wants that business? Have I tried using Almond for artificial intelligence? I've seen people talk about Almond on Discord, not in the add-on support deal, but I didn't know what it was. Let's just take. How can you contact me to request YouTube content? So let me talk about YouTube for 1/2 second here. So YouTube has an algorithm, as most things do. And the algorithm is based on the popularity or the where your video shows up in search results and all kinds of other search engine optimization garbage is the amount of comments and the amount of likes and just the overall activity of the videos. And so I always solicit, hey, if you have any ideas, or I don't know if I always do it, but sometimes in the end of videos I'll talk about, let me know what you want me to make for a video, or if you have any questions about stuff. So the default, I read every comment right now. When I become super famous, I may not have time for that, but right now I try my best to respond to every comment. I think I have. I think from the beginning of when I started doing this until now, I've responded to every single comment, with the exception of 1 or 2 that were obviously spam and or just vulgar, gross things. So that's a good place to do that, because then the algorithm sees activity on the video. The other thing is my Discord server. In fact, I asked the other day, I said, hey, what do y'all want me to make videos about? And then I walked into Lowe's and bought that Nest Mini and just made a video on that. So any of those channels, like as in chat channels or Discord channels or whatever, that's fine. I will make videos if I know how to do it. I will try to make a video on a request basis like that as well. So yeah, just wherever. That is the best way to do it. Let's see. Almond is open, privacy preserving virtual assistant. It allows you to control home assistant natural. So natural language, as in, yo, dude, turn on the lights. What does it say? Neural network converts your sentences into think talk programs. Skills that provide the building blocks for think talk programs. I have never played with this. That might be a video idea. I wonder. Well, that's not helpful. Well, so what do you? I could research this, but what does it talk to? Does it? Yeah, this is interesting. I just don't know anything about it. Like, can I talk to one of my speech devices here and have it use Almond to convert it into something that makes more sense? For whatever reason, this Playroom light, my Echo devices cannot understand when I say that word. So if Almond could figure that out and say, if I could say, turn on the light upstairs by the door, and have that converted into Playroom, that would be great too, because it'll probably work better. That was my attempt at humor. All right, so yeah, are you doing anything with Almond live art, or are you just curious about how it works as I am? Tonight's beverage is ice cold water. What else were you going to talk about? I was going to talk about OpenZWave, but and I did for a second, but I really don't know what kind of tweaking can be done with OpenZWave within the confines of the settings. That may be another topic for another time. What else did I put on my thing? We talked about Nest a little bit. Anybody having any Nest issues they need help with tonight? Because I think we're about wrapping that up and getting it to where it is working pretty well for everybody. I think we'll go for about another 10 minutes and then we'll wrap it at that time. I've got to go do some fam stuff. This is cool. You see this happening. So there's activity in the kitchen. So this is a motion sensor that's part of it's a wired motion sensor, part of my DSC alarm system, which ties directly into Home Assistant using the Eyes On board. This is wireless from the DSC. This is one of those AOTech multi-sensor 6 devices. Same with this one. And this is a wireless DSC. I want to replace my entire alarm system with connected. So that would be a fun little project. Maybe just get rid of the Eyes On board and then use the connected. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that or not, but it looks pretty fun. It's right up my alley of just playing with something for the sake of playing with it. My alarm system works fine the way it is. I don't have any issues with it, short of just having some devices that are wireless that talk to the keypad versus wired. But you have, did they show any pictures? It's basically a replacement for your alarm panel. So it's you just take all your inputs from around, if you have wired inputs from around your house or whatever, and connect them to the connected boards. And now they have a 12 zone kit that's in stock. So they have Ethernet PoE. That's new now, I think. Ethernet, power over Ethernet. In addition to Wi-Fi, 12 input zone, 2 dedicated sirens, 5 amps, 12 volts of power. Yeah, so that would be something to play with at some point. Let's see, see some of these products. I'm thinking, yeah, if you do some stuff with live art or with Almond live art, that would be interesting to hear how you utilize that, because I have not touched that at all. Yeah, that's an 18 zone kit. Nice. A little board, or maybe multiple boards probably, and then $99. I think for my DSC panel, we didn't have the alarm panel. The house was pre-wired, but there was no alarm panel, so I bought it from a vendor in the States, over in California, and I wired it in myself. So paid a couple $100 at the time for all of that stuff. With the keypads, probably more. Your Home Assistant, I guess, could become your keypad if you're using connected, just to get some old tablets. I've got some of those laying around. And then this, if you can get 18 zones for $99, that's pretty good. Wireless sensors, yeah, I've got 2 of those motion sensors. Like I said, this motion sensor and this one are both wireless. But all this stuff was put in before I was big into Home Assistant. I just wired in the alarm system, and that was basically it. And then I got into home automation, Home Assistant, and stuff like that, and then realized, you could. It's all dependent on your comfort level. So if you're comfortable with your Home Assistant installation being your sole monitoring for everything, you could just use all of the stuff that you can buy off the shelf for that. You can get the sensors for the doors. You can get the motion sensors. All that can tie directly into Home Assistant. And then what you're missing is the part where it notifies the alarm company if you choose to do that. I'm on the fence about that. Having an alarm monitoring service that you pay for on a monthly or yearly basis is an expense, but it's all about your comfort level. If I'm running I would say 99% of the time my phone is with me, or I've got one of these smartwatches that I can be notified if something were to happen, that the alarm would go off. In fact, I get notified through Home Assistant before the alarm company calls me if it does go off. Sometimes a few minutes, so I know it's happening. But what happens that one time when you're away from service and something happens, your alarm company calls your public safety people or whatever. So I currently have a monitored alarm system, but I could do everything my alarm system does now with Home Assistant without having to have an alarm system necessarily, with the exception of all the wired devices. If I want to use the wired devices, I've got to have an input board for those. And there is a benefit to having wired because, for example, this kitchen one, it'll cycle on and off. All the rest of these, because they're battery powered, have a timer, or like a fall off timers or a something timer. So the like this playroom, I think it'll show it'll show motion, but it's got a 6 minute delay, so it won't reset for 6 minutes, and then it'll show motion again after 6 minutes. So its purpose is an initial trip the alarm or trip the sensor, and then it'll set the alarm off if it's programmed that way, or if you're in the mode where the alarm is ready to go. But with the kitchen, you can see motion continuously. So there's a difference between the wired and wireless, and that's the big one there. Greetings from New Jersey. Appreciate the videos. Well, thanks, Lester. I really enjoy making the videos, and I'm glad they're helpful. You get the benefit of I mean, for me anyway, helping people do things and learning and teaching. And that's a big motivator to keep going with the video. So I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up here in a minute too. Lester's on his way out. I've got about 4 more minutes and I got to run off. Yeah, by the time the police arrive, the bad guys are long gone. That's correct. So I have cameras tied to a Blue Iris system, and they're actually here. I won't show those live because I might get in trouble. But they're tied to my Home Assistant system, and then they also have all kinds of. They're using artificial intelligence as well for alerting me when people are there. But the best case scenario is someone busts in, and then they take what they're going to take. They know they're going to get in and out quickly. With the camera part of it, at least you can help narrow down who it was. I would say I'm just gonna throw this out here, but most of the burglaries that occur are not a one group doing it unless it's targeted. Ocean's 11 style or whatever. What's that one where they did the overseas heist and they dropped the safe through the floor into the boat with whatever. That was a targeted one. My house, not going to be that way. My house is going to be someone going down the road, knocking on doors and taking stuff, or they saw something and they want that. So best case scenario is you're going to be able to help out by providing the video, because they're going to say, okay, this person was in these areas, and just make a timeline for them. But yeah, you're right. They're going to be long gone, but it's still kind of peace of mind. And in some cases, they'll hear the initial alarm siren go off, and they'll just take off without waiting. So hopefully, it's a deterrent more than anything. But if they're really determined, just like if there's something in your car, your vehicle that they want, they're gonna bust a window, take it, and run off. I've seen people. I worked for a company in one of the larger cities, and we rolled into the office about 7 a.m. Went in to grab a piece of paperwork, walked back out, and my friend's car they took the stereo out in about, I don't know, 30 seconds or less, and he had alarms. So yeah, it's a crapshoot, really. All right, so we got some folks jumping off. I really appreciate everyone's time tonight. I hope these are fun. I really enjoy doing them. They're just rambling, talking about stuff, answering questions. I'm going to try to do these on a regular basis. Still working that out with the family and stuff, and holidays are coming up, so there'll be some hit and miss stuff. For those in the U.S., really hope you have a great Thanksgiving Day holiday this week. And for everyone else, I know there's some other holidays around the world going on kind of not mimicking. What's the word? Yeah, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. Anyway, so everyone that has a holiday, hope you enjoy your holiday time. Get some relaxation. I know a lot's going on in the world right now, and we all just need to take that time and just enjoy things. So, y'all have a great evening, and if you like the content, do your thing there, and do a little like thing, hit that algorithm, help that go along, and then yeah, hit me up on Discord. If you have questions or you have content ideas, just throw those to me, either in the comments or Discord or wherever, and I'll do my best, if I know anything about the topic, to make a little video on it. So thanks again. Y'all have a great evening, and my sign off tonight's going to be boring as always. We'll see you. Thanks so much.